so quiet outside. It's 5:10 in the morning. We in Israel they changed the clocks and we moved forward to is it called daytime? Say daylight saving time, whatever. We just call it summer clock in Hebrew, which is pretty funny when you translate it into English. I woke up way too early. I woke up at 3:30. So it's almost like waking up at 4:30 after I went to bed. I go to sleep listening to the radio. That's very common with me. It actually helps me fall asleep better. And if it's not the radio, then I fall asleep to like History Channel or something like that, or on YouTube, any kind of historical documentary. And I'm pretty sure it was around 9 o'clock. I just decided whenever I fall asleep, I fall asleep. I've said it as another tidbit. Oh, I've been listening to music for the past hour or so, and like really listening to music and watching a little bit of metal news, because although it really doesn't appear to it, I am somewhat of a metalhead. I learned that one of the creators that I like had a side project that I've never heard about, so that's on my listening list playlist right now, and it's called Pucifer, and it's by Meinert. I think that's how you say the name. I've never been really sure about that. From, if you've ever heard of A Perfect Circle or Tool, which also had a new album in this past year, which made me so happy when it came out. And the fact that they joined Spotify was also another happy moment in my life this past year, because I discovered Spotify a little over a year ago, and I pay for the subscription and I really enjoy it. I used to buy CDs all the time, and I still have my CDs, and I can't get rid of them and I can't just throw them away because, you know, they symbolize something. I also believe in paying your artists, so I'm assuming that Spotify, and I went into focus slightly, I'm assuming that Spotify pays royalty to artists, because that's what I understand. I'm sure it's not a lot because we don't pay that much for subscriptions, but otherwise I would be listening to Tool on YouTube, quite honestly. I don't feel the greatest. I have this horrible nausea since yesterday morning, which was the other reason why I decided whenever I fall asleep, I fall asleep. And I'm a little bit down right now. We've reached a total of 8 people dead here. It's actually, it's pretty sad. And when I had this discussion with my mother, we were talking last week about this, and I said we didn't have any dead last week, and when we had this conversation, and I told my mother it's just a matter of time, and it's also going to be elderly people, and she said, why do you think that? And I said, well, there was a social worker that was sick, and she didn't know she was sick, and she went into a retirement home, and indeed 3 at least out of the first person to die here was an 87-year-old man from the retirement home, and 3 out of the 8 deceased so far here in Israel are from that retirement home. I think one of the people that died was a 45-year-old man, not somebody really not that old. I'm trying to find the list officially for that. It's just that what happened so far in the past 24 hours has focused more on politics, because we finally seem to have a government in Israel. And if you didn't know what was going on in Israel for the past over a year, we've had our 3rd elections in February, because the previous 2 elections led to the end of nobody was able to put together a government because you didn't have a coalition of the majority. It's a little bit complicated. Israel is it has lots of parties, and the problem is you have to be able to have the majority for obvious reasons. I mean, that's how it works, I think, anywhere. And although there tends to be, how would I explain this? Blocks, maybe? I guess that's how you say. They are typically made out of more right-winged parties, and then you have what's more left-wing parties. And when I say right and left, I mean that it can be actually a little bit complicated, because you have what's called how you stand on state issues, which are mainly regarding the peace agreements and how we should deal with the conflict. Let's define it like that, the conflict. And you can be right on that. I mean you can be leaning towards the right on that, but you can actually be left when it comes to social and financial ideas. Okay, I think that's a good explanation. The other thing is that, traditionally speaking, the Arab parties, which made up 15 seats out of the 120 seats that are in the Israeli parliament, do not tend to join the coalition. I do think that when it comes down to it, and especially after working in the past year, and one of my best friends being an Arab Israeli and learning a lot about it, I always think that, and the more I learn about the Arab population within Israel, I always think that there's so many things that I wish that were taken care of in Israel, not regarding specifically the Palestinian problem, because there are Arab Israelis within Israel that there's no debate about them and there's no question about them, and it doesn't even matter who they show loyalty to or not. It really doesn't matter. The fact is, there's a lot of social issues that needs to be taken care of, and I think that's something you have to do in any case. It has nothing to do if you're Arab or not, but I think that if you are part, you have to, I know that the parliament works on many levels, but I wish that there were more solutions coming from the government when it comes to stuff like that. And that's all I'm going to go into it, because I don't want to turn this into a political vlog. I said a lot of I know. In the States, the recent report says that they now have officially more diagnosed people than in China, and I also believe that it's an under assessment in terms of how many people have officially been diagnosed. I have a feeling that that's the case. I kind of predicted that would have happened. I also had a conversation about this with my mother. I'm pretty good at predicting trends, because you couldn't not do quarantine of some sort or certain kind of limitations once it was clear that there's a problem. And it seemed like the US kind of moved slow on that. In Israel, they didn't wait too long in order to start having restrictions, but they were very, very small restrictions each time. I mean, at this point, we're starting the second day. No, it came in at 5 o'clock the day before. So we're now in the second day of the no going past 100 meters from your house limitation. So you can see that it's actually giving you the ability of walking your dog, for instance, and going out just a little bit in order to breathe air. So that's good. I am very happy this was taken care of very quickly, actually. But some parents for children with disabilities of different sorts did indicate that for some children with specific groups, within certain groups, it is very difficult to not have the ability of running around. Most Israelis, I think most Israelis, do live in apartment buildings and not in houses. That's not too common. And if you live in an apartment and you have a child like that, you really need the ability to let him blow off steam, because that's just how it is. So they've changed it that people with disabilities, people with disabilities will be allowed to they're the exception to the 100-meter rule, and they said that they should make sure that they have their documentation on them as regard to their disability card or whatever. The police in general are, they're not cutthroat and automatically give you the fine. They do tend to say to people, go home. I mean, they don't feel like dealing with too much of this, and you can understand, but they are enforcing it. Enforcing, that's how you say it. Enforcing. They have given out fines to people. People have indicated that there have been roadblocks and they stopped the driver and asked them where they're going. I went out yesterday, as you saw, to do a panic grocery shopping. I really can't do that. I really can't afford it. And I've also consumed a little bit too many sweets. Yeah. I also have now on the third day that I did not have a hypoglycemia event. I don't tend to run low. I tend to run high as a diabetic. And especially when I get stressed out, I tend to produce ketones, and I do slip into DK very, very quickly and quite easily. And that was my main concern. And I think the combination of making sure that I don't go over 140 at all, plus the fact that while I was studying, I take Ritalin and I don't tend to eat very much until the end of the day. I think that that's what kicks. And I think also the fact that I've been exercising on almost a daily basis, also kind of made it so my insulin resistance is very low right now, and I am finding myself slipping into hypoglycemia. So yesterday was the third day that I didn't do that in a while. I'm terrified and panicked, and I did definitely go through a panic attack this morning, and I've looked up certain things to help me relax, and I took a slight break from studying right now for my bar exam, which is a conscious decision of mine. They have now, the test was supposed to be on the 25th of June, and it's now been official that there is another date. The bar exam in Israel happens twice a year. It usually happens in June and in December, and I was going for the summer date, and they have added another date. They've added towards the end of August, and I think it's pretty clear that the date in June will be officially canceled later on, to be completely honest. They also said that you could go for both tests, the one in June and in August, and the highest grade will count. So that's a little bit reassuring. That means that if I don't feel prepared, I'll still go for it. And sometimes it's an 80% test. It's based on multiple answers. So you could not multiple multi-option answers. Is that what it's called? So you never know how it could go. So that's what's happening with the bar exam. It seems like I'm going to be having, in Passover, if you're not aware, it's a Jewish holiday that happens around springtime, and I come from a religious Orthodox family. I don't keep Shabbat and stuff like that, but I definitely celebrate, like all Jewish Israelis, I celebrate the holidays, and Passover is one of them, and you have what's called Leil Seder, and it's a big meal, and you read in the Haggadah and stuff like that, and it's considered a family holiday, and it seems like I might be home alone for this one. I'm not too hyper about it, I have to be honest. They were probably going to have it on the radio or on YouTube or somewhere. I can't Zoom it or Skype it with my parents because my parents do keep Shabbat, so they will not use the internet, for instance, on Shabbat. So I can't do that with them, but I'm okay with that. I'd probably be a little bit sad on the evening itself. We have to wait and see, because the other option I am definitely considering is having it with my brother's, my sister-in-law's family, which they live in a different city, but it's about 15, their house is about 15 minutes away from where I live. And that's supposed to be where my parents live, which is about, it's over an hour. So it's a little bit different. There is a slight, my brother emphasized this, that I have to take into account that there are going to be children and stuff like that. And I said there's certain kind of give and takes in life, and you just have to balance it out, I think. For this morning, I'm probably going to kind of zone out. I'm trying to figure out what to watch, either on Netflix or in general. I think that I have some Young Sheldon I can watch. I need something fun, and So if you have any recommendations, tell me what you're watching at home these days, because we all know that we're watching a lot of TV and a lot of movies. My cat is here. I have 3 cats. Okay, she's not happy I moved her. This is Muffin. She is my eldest. Hi. She's 10 years old, and she's also, somebody threw her in our yard when she was a baby, so she's always around me. You can see that at my blogs. And I have another gray cat, which is territorial as God knows what. And then I have another one. I have an orange tabby, and he escaped yesterday from the house. So I'm trying to get him back inside, and I try to do that by having the famous kitty treat jiggle. So I'm looking for him to come back. But, I have also the ability of going out to the yard, thank God. Also, once I've uploaded the first vlog on this channel, I've edited and put another video on my Hebrew channel, which makes me very happy because I haven't done that in months. I just couldn't sit in front of an editing software and do it. There was something so, I couldn't get myself to do it, because you get into this certain kind of rut. But it's okay. I'm relaxed, and I'm setting my goals. And if I can get some of my study, if I can finish the book that I'm currently studying over the next 2 days, I'll be pretty happy about that. It's procedure in criminal law and arrests. So yeah, that's what's happening. It's very calm. It's an amazing time of the day. I've always liked this time of day, between 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning, because it's officially morning, but not really. So yeah. And it's always very quiet these days at this time of day, because a lot of people are not working, especially on Friday morning, which a lot of people are not working. Some people do work on Friday in Israel, but a lot of people don't. And there's no school, so a lot of people don't wake up at this time. So it's very, very quiet outside. Yeah. So that's it. That's the update for now. So my cat escaped, and I'm trying to find him around the neighborhood. I'm totally within my 100 meters away from home. But there's a playground here, and because Israelis did not enforce the rules, they started putting these kind of things to block it off so people wouldn't go. It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning, as you can see from the sun. Not the sun, but the light started to spread. It is relatively very quiet. The only thing is that there's a shul here, which is kind of one of the things they're still letting happening, with certain limitations, which I think they should cancel, because there's absolutely no reason why there really isn't that people have to daven in groups of 10 people. They can daven at home, and there's no problem with that. But that's what happens when you have new government people that have religion on their mind, and not even something that's absolutely a must by, the rules.
Reporting by Shu Wenrong, NTD News. A Chinese doctor recounts seeing how an old man was murdered by an unjust healthcare system. NTD Xiaohua Gu has more. Dr. Leo said he witnessed another doctor murdering a patient inside ICU. The doctor injected drugs that caused the patient's death. After 4 or 5 days, the man had over $7,000 to pay. The problem was he couldn't afford it. A big bipartisan moment on Wednesday in Washington, D.C.
So it's now past 8 o'clock. Usually I sit down and watch the news at this time and exercise, and I'll still go and exercise, but I don't think I'm going to watch the news for today, the TV edition. We're over 10 people dead at this point, which is kind of saddening. They're talking about them and writing articles and talking about who they were. It's weird because it's just so quiet. I think people have finally started kind of staying at home finally. So I was looking for one of my cats that escaped and he's home now, so that makes me feel calmer. I think I've been pretty calm today. I've written a 400 words on something regarding the financial situation in Corona, and I'm thinking of sending it in to one of the major news outlets in Israel. I like what I wrote. I just haven't decided yet if it would be in my best benefit or not. But I'm pretty pleased about what I actually wrote. So I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna download all the videos from the past several days and edit this, and hopefully this will be up even tonight. We'll see. Yeah.